Dude, the amount of account takeovers that I've done where I've been able to triple people's Demon Lord or Hydra damage just by rebuilding champions is absurd. So in this one we're going deep, man, with how to build every single type of champion inside of Raid Shadow Legends, covering more champion types than I ever have before in similar videos to this one in the past, using examples from my free-to-play account as well as my main account, and also touching on some of the best gear sets to be looking out for as well, mostly the accessible gear sets that you can be using on each of these champion types as well, man. By the end of this video, dude, you're gonna be qualified to be like the man who puts the armor on King Theoden before the Battle of Helm's Deep. You know what I'm saying, man? You're gonna be that guy, right? Gearing champions like a beast, which just happens to be another Theoden quote. Hey, man, before we get started, if you're looking to start off a new Raid Shadow Legends account, man, or you've got a friend who's looking to start playing Raid, send them the beginner promo link that is down below at the top of the video description box, man. Click on that link right now on laptop or on PC and use that link to create your new Raid account for all of the free stuff that you see on screen right now, man. Starting off with Basilius Varanus as your free start legendary champion. Bunch of epics as you level that account up. You can even get your hands on Thorlin Foulbeard, man, using beginner code Demon Slayer as well on a brand new Raid account on day one, dude. It's just an absolutely crazy time to start off a new Raid account, man. Okay. Let's begin, shall we? First off, man, a few general rules, right? 1. Accuracy. What do you need accuracy for exactly? Well, you need accuracy to land any negative effect that isn't damage against enemies. This might be in the case of Supreme Gallic, the HP burn debuff, the block buffs, and the decreased speed debuffs. It also includes things like Alice the Wanderer's chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns, right? It's a negative effect that affects the enemy that isn't damage. 10-meter decrease is a similar condition, right? All of these things require accuracy. How much accuracy do you need? Well, rule number 2 is that for some of these champion builds, accuracy is going to be listed as the #1 stat priority, but doesn't mean you need but like 700 accuracy on all of your champions, right? You need 10 accuracy per dungeon stage that you are clearing. Stage 16 Dragon requires about 160 accuracy on your debuffers. Stage 25 Dragon, you look at about 250 accuracy to land your poisons, HP burns, that kind of thing. And next up, finally, rule number 3 is for some of the damage dealer types in this game, attack does not help you, right? For Alice the Wanderer, you can see right here that she is an attack-based champion, and if we click on her skills, her damage is based on attack, meaning that attack percentage chest plates, attack percentage substats on a gear, those are going to be pretty damn good for Alice the Wanderer, but I might just use the word attack to basically mean primary stat for your damage dealers in this video. For example, there's cases like Morag where she's a defense-based nuker, and all of her skills deal damage based on defense. But just for the sake of simplicity, if I ever mention like attack or attack percentage as one of the stat priorities on a champion, just use it as a stand-in for whatever the primary stat is on that champion if I'm talking about damage dealers. So first off, man, we are going to look at the speed booster champions on your account. That's going to be our first category, because honestly, these are some of the most important champions on your account, even more important than your Nukers, man. You can have an Alice the Wanderer that hits like an absolute freight train, but if she's going second because your opponent's Haikatoon or Arbiter is faster than yours, you're dead. It doesn't matter, right? Examples of this champion type are going to be Haikatoon, of course, Mrs. Arbiter herself. In some cases, you could throw the likes of Deacon Armstrong into this category because he just brings some 10-meter boost and a speed aura, so, you know, just depends how you're using him, mostly. You could even throw the likes of a Seeker into this role as well. Again, depending on how you're using the champion, Seeker brings a massive 10-meter boost on his A2, and so it's not uncommon for people to use Seeker as a 10-meter booster, which is max speed build in things like Arena. But for now, I will stick to Haikatoon as the example on the free-to-play account, man. Your stat priority on your 10-meter boosters is very, very simply going to look like accuracy if it's required for that 10-meter booster, which for all of them, it actually isn't. You can just ignore accuracy on some of these guys, like Arbiter, if you just want to build them as fast as possible and really focus on stat priority number 2, which is speed. Then HP percent and defense percent kind of tied in third. As we come to some of the best gear sets to look out for this champion type, be aware that stats are always more important than gear, right? There's no good throwing all speed artifacts on, for example, your Haikatoon if you don't even have like, okay, never mind. I don't have any examples, but if it's like flat HP is the main stat on the boots, then don't put the bloody speed boots on. They suck, right? You want to be looking for speed as the primary stat on your boots, obviously. Some of the best artifacts that you could be looking out for are, of course, going to be speed. If we scroll on down a little bit, you're probably also looking out for the likes of, to be fair, Divine Speed could be pretty good as well. Tough to get, but just as good as a speed set if you can find some good pieces with speed rolls. Perception is bloody always good. And then of the Forge Pass sets, which I have no examples on the free-to-play account, the Righteous set could be pretty good as well. And basically the goal with this champion type is to just get them as fast as hell. That's it. That's their job, right? The faster this champion is, the faster like your Haikatoon is or your Arbiter is, the more likely it is you get to go first in arena, and the faster you get your damage dealers on your team firing, right? Because you're just boosting 10 meter like a psychopath. And from the 250 speed-ish Haikatune on the free-to-play account to the Esther Dream Song on my main account, who's like my main speed lead because of her 6-star soul, 360 speed on her, and a pretty good amount of accuracy on her because her kit does need it. Of course, when we're talking about completely skipping accuracy, Arbiter is a good example of this, right? Arbiter does technically need accuracy for A1 and for A2, but for the most part, people on their account, especially once your account gets a bit older, you start to really specialize your champions for certain areas of the game. Arbiter is an incredible arena specialist because of her 30% speed aura and just the massivosity of a 10 meter boost at 30% on her A3. And so, by and large, people end up building Arbiter with just no accuracy at all and just building her with all of the highest speed gear on their account and get her firing as quickly as bloody possible. And that's totally a viable way that you can treat your 10 meter boosters as well, depending on where you plan on using them in the game. Again, Arbiter, I could specialize her for arena. Esther Dream Song, she's great into Hydra as well, right? She's great into a couple of PvE areas in the game also, and so she does need the accuracy, right? So you just gotta treat this like an account-by-account basis. Next champion type we're gonna cover is gonna be our debuffers. Why? I saw Duck the Pierce and he looks awesome and I want him on the screen, man. The start priority for these guys is gonna be very, very familiar to the 10 meter boosters, with the only difference being you can prioritize speed just a little bit lower, right? Accuracy, then speed, HP percent, defense percent, again, tied at third, right? Only difference with your debuffers is that, well, accuracy is always going to be the #1 stat because they're a debuffer, like it's what they do, you know, they need the accuracy, obviously, and yeah, they can afford to be just a little bit slower than your 10 meter boosters and shouldn't really be having your like, fastest gear on your account committed to champions like Duck the Pierced, obviously. The job of these guys is very, very simply to set up your nukers with big debuffs against enemies, things like decreased defense, decreased attack, weaken, great ones to lead in with, before your nukers come in and just smash the hell out of everybody. Your debuffers are going to include the likes of Duck the Pierced. Some people would consider Deacon Armstrong a debuffer first and a 10 meter controller or 10 meter booster second. Just a matter of opinion, I suppose. War Maiden is a great budget example of just a pure debuffer with a 3 decreased defense, campaign farmable, great rare champion that you should definitely build if you don't have a 60% version decreased defense champ on your account. You could also consider Ugo to be a debuffer as well, although Ugo does bring all kinds of healing and debuff cleanse as well in a kit. Just a fantastic epic champion that does many things all at once. On the likes of our Ugo, we are running good old HP percentage gauntlets, HP percentage chestplate, and speed boots. Should basically always be speed on the boots. Now, while I would normally recommend running a mix of defense percent and HP percent on your debuffers, you always make sure to check out their kit. If the champion has any healing, just have a quick check to see how the healing scales on that champion. For example, Ugo heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP, meaning the more health Ugo has, the bigger that heal is, right? And so a lot of HP percent on an Ugo makes a lot of sense, and that's just a small caveat to sort of take in mind when deciding what percentage stat to go for on gloves and chest. Keys that's worth looking out for on your speed boosters, on your debuffers, are always going to be, of course, the speed set. Accuracy could be quite useful on things like, you know, your War Maiden if you're just getting started in raid and you just need an easy way to get some accuracy to land those key debuffs. Divine Speed, again, is just going to be just as good. Perception is going to be absolutely premium, of course, for your debuffers as well. Best set in the game, though, is going to be all the way down at the bottom with the Feral set. Incredible set to have on your debuff type champions, providing accuracy, speed, and of course the 9-piece. Allies deal 5% more damage per each debuff placed by the wearer. Insane stuff, right? Ridiculous damage boost across your entire team just for doing their job. And so by gum, please do not neglect Siege, boys. Get your feral gear sorted, man. Next event, that brings us to the Nuker category. Your direct damage dealers, right? Not HP burners and HP burn activation champions or any of that nonsense, right? Not like Ninja and stuff. We're talking like Alice the Wanderer. She just takes her massive F-off sword and twats people with it, right? That's what we talk about when we talk about Nukers, right? Some Nukers like Alice still do require accuracy, of course, but not all of them do, right? And we've got the likes of Morag Bronzelock as well, who doesn't require any accuracy at all, and she just wants to hit stuff really hard with the bluntest sword that has ever been sworded, as far as I understand. And so we've got Alice the Wanderer, we've got Morag, we've got the likes of Dark Elhain as a free login reward champion. Even your starter rare champion could well just be considered to be full-on nuker. Even if Kale does require some accuracy as well, but Dark Elhain falls into the category as well. She places decreased speed, increased attack buff on herself, and just smack stuff. Nukers are usually attack-based champions, but not always, as evidenced by Morag Bronzelock. Your stat priority on your Nukers is going to be 100% crit rate, or as close to 100% crit rate as you can possibly get on your Nukers. Then it's going to be accuracy, if they need it on that champion. Then crit damage. Crit damage is by far going to be your biggest sort of like damage amplifier on your Nuker type champions. Then attack percentage, or whatever their primary stat is. You know, it wouldn't be attack for the likes of a Morag, but I'm just going to say attack percentage, and then speed. And when we say speed is like the lowest stat priority, it doesn't mean build Alice the Wanderer with 0 speed. Still try and hit like 160 speed, 165 speed as like sort of like a rock bottom if you can. The likes of my Morag is in some hand-me-down gear on this free-to-play account, and she's not even breaking 150 speed. So, yeah. I gotta work on that, right? You don't want your Nukers to be so bloody slow that that they're struggling to even get a move in things like Tag Arena and stuff like that, right? They've still got to have a decent amount of speed. 165 I would consider to be sort of like the absolute rock bottom. Most of the time, you're still going to be running speed as the main stat on your boots. On your Nukers, even though, you know, attack percentage is technically a little bit of a higher stat priority, you can maybe get away with that once your account is more developed and you can find speed from other sources, banners and things like that. But for a long time on your account, you're probably still looking at speed as the main stat. Attack percentage for the likes of Alice, just your main stat for your Nuker on your chestplate. And then always crit damage on your gauntlets if you can. Again, you've got to be hitting that 100% crit rate, or getting crit damage gauntlets is bloody useless. Okay, if you can't hit if you can't hit 100% crit rate when building your Nukers, then you've got to build your Nukers instead with crit rate on your gauntlets. And this is going to make it hitting 100% total crit rate much easier in the super early game of your account, where you're just very limited in terms of gear options. But the goal should always be having crit damage gauntlets as your main stat on your gloves. Oh, bloody hell, I almost forgot. Also, crit damage on the amulets. It's absolutely just cream of the crop. You can't get better than that, right? Crit damage on amulets for your Nukers. And so for one of my proudest Nukers on the main account, this is what my Thorlin Foulbeard build looks like. Now, gear sets that you're looking for your Nukers. Honestly, crit damage, very underrated sort of filler set to throw in as a 2-piece to sort of fill your build out. Can be very good indeed. Savage is going to be amazing as well. Ignore 25% of enemy defense. You do not realize how good this is until you can build it. Still, always remember, stats are more important than sets, okay? It's no good just equipping a bunch of crappy Savage gear if like it's got like 0 speed on it and you're struggling to hit 100% crit rate, and it's got like a bunch of flat HP. Like, it's just a waste of time, right? You've got to be hitting like attack percent as the main stat on the chest, and speed on the boots, and good crit rate and crit damage and stuff on the weapons, and all of that good stuff, right? Scrolling down a little bit, Cruel is also very good, kind of like just a mini Savage set, right, with a bit of ignore defense there on a 2-piece. You've got quite a lot of options, man, with the Nuker sets. Fatal is okay as a filler set to help you hit some crit rate. In fact, I also skipped past, I don't actually have any critical rate pieces on here, but critical rate sets in the super early game, just to try and hit 100% crit rate, can be pretty good as well. I'm sure I'm skipping over some here. Slayer is great as one of the Forge Pass sets for any like big AoE nukers. One of the best you're going to be looking out for, though, is going to be Lethal. Nice and farmable as long as you're able to sort of conquer your way through most of hard mode Doom Tower. You can farm some lethal crafting materials from Darkfare. That's why Darkfare is one of the most sort of sought after and look forward to bosses in Doom Tower for people to farm to get your hands on lethal gear. It's basically crit rate plus a Savage set, so very good. And then of course you've got the likes of Merciless as a 9-piece set as well, farmable from Cursed City. Very good, of course, as a 9-piece. Next up, and before we start moving on to some more niche champion types, well, you know what, I'm going to squeeze this one in here as well, because it's a little bit of an obscure champion type, and it sort of naturally comes after 10-meter boosters and debuffers and stuff like that, but it's the unique type of support champion like Glycad of the Meltwater that are just pure buffers, right? This is the buffer champion type. Like Glycad, these are champions that don't need basically very minimal or no accuracy at all in their kits. Glycad does technically need a little bit of accuracy to be landing his freeze debuff on his A1, but he brings increased attack, perfect veil, increased accuracy, and increased defense, all wound up in the same kit. Another example would be Androck the Glorious. Brings increased defense on his A1, and then brings increased resistance, strengthen, and continuous heal on his A3 as well. I just want to throw these champion types in there because it'll just take a second. Their stat priorities are basically speed, as fast as bloody possible, HP percent, defense percent, and then just get them in a protection set. It doesn't even matter the quality. Okay, it does matter the quality of it, right? You can't put them in just crap gear. Obviously, you never can. But at the same time, protection set is so bloody good on champions like this that there are just no words. And so I'm just going to squeeze buffers into their own micro category here and just say if you've got any champions like this that are just pure buff champions, they bring 3 or more strong buffs to the table, get them in a protection set as quickly as you can. I'd say be very, very careful with selling any accessories from the protection set. If you're just getting started, it's very, very tough in this game to collect up any like 9-piece accessory like this, because you've got to collect them up individually for every single individual faction in the game, right? It's not like collecting artifacts where you can just slam them on any old faction. No, man, accessories are faction specific. So hold on to these suckers, okay? If you've got like a good collection of protection gear like gloves and chest and boots and stuff like that, and that's all come together just fine, honestly, just put any old bloody amulet on, right? Put like an attack amulet on, get like a random resist banner on or something, you know, just throw any accessories on you want to complete the 9-piece protection set. It's just that good, as long as the other like main pieces of the set and total trash. And so that category is more of just like a mini aside than anything. Next up, man, we've got the Reviver category, who I do actually think deserve their own category, even if their star priority is going to look a little bit familiar to some stuff we've covered already, right? We're talking the likes of champions like Rector Drath, good old To Go over here. We've got rare champions that you might want to level up to even just to level 50, maybe all the way up to 60 for use in faction wars, like Tree Shield Knot, whose main job is just to be like a rare champion reviver on the team. Nice and budget to build out. Then, of course, we've got more powerful revivers, like apparently the very, very shy Elva Autumnborn, who finally decided to show up, right, bringing all kinds of buffs, and of course that powerful 3-turn cooldown revive on the A3. The stat priority for champions like this is going to be accuracy, again, if they need it, right? It's an if they need it basis, then speed, then HP percent and defense percent. The difference being is that speed is not like an out and out, far and away winner for champions like, for example, a bloody Rector Drath, you know? It's a more of a case-by-case basis kind of thing. While you still want your revivers to be fast, they've also got to be the last champion standing on your team, right? If everybody else is dead, okay, the reviver can still sort of like swing the fight back in your favor in things like arena, keep your Hydra team on their feet and stuff like that. If your reviver dies, like first or second on your team, there's nobody around to pick those guys back up, you know, and so your revivers have to have that extra focus on HP percent and defense percent, which I think is quite nicely represented in how I'm building my To Go on the free-to-play account. The To Go is interesting in his gear build in that it's a little bit of a mix. It's a bit of a hodgepodge, focusing on picking up some speed stats from certain artifacts. We're going HP percent on the gloves, HP percent on the chest, and then we're kind of mixing in a happy little resilience set here as well for just extra HP and extra defense. And that's just for all of the reasons that I've already mentioned above, right? Another thing that's worth mentioning as well is that a lot of revivers in this game are similar to healers in this game in that they deliver a heal to your allies based on their own max HP, right? So To Go heals all allies by 15% of his max HP. Same thing with Rector Drath as well, right? As a healer, heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. Why is that important? Well, it probably makes it so that when it comes to, oh god, look, I've misbuilt my Rector on the free-to-play account. She's in crappy gear anyway, man. I have limited options on the free-to-play account, okay? What I should be doing here is building the Rector in his... Look at the chest. Oh, what a design. Whatever, dude. HP percent as the main stat on my Rector Drath's gear. On the To Go as well, I think it's HP percent on both the gloves and on the chest. Okay, so at least I've got the To Go right. But always pay attention to that, man. If you've got like a reviver or healer in this game, pay attention to how they handle their heals. Are they healing a target based on the target's HP or based on their own max HP? If it's based on their own max HP, then you want to build them with as much HP percentage on their gloves and chest as you possibly can. Now, some good sets to look out for your revivers are going to, of course, be the likes of, I mean, speed is always good. You could even hypothetically build some of your revivers and budget revivers for faction wars in things like hand-me-down regeneration gear just to ensure that they live. Immortal gear, a little bit further on down, is going to be very, very good as well as like a filler set to throw in there. Resilience is fine as a filler set. Perception is always good. Basically, any champion that requires accuracy inside of this game. And Defiant is a amazing Forge Pass set. Another reviver I've got built on my main account is good old Hermit Yorg, who, does need a bit of accuracy in his kit. So he's in some hand-me-down gear. I don't use him in many areas of the game. Really, Kest City, that kind of thing. But you can see I've went to the extra effort of slamming him in a couple pieces of Immortal gear as well. And yeah, he's just nice and tanky and hard to kill off as a result, so that he's always around to get that revive off. Okay, next category we're going to touch on, man, is going to be the last of sort of the main categories before we get to the more advanced categories, man, and stuff that's just a little bit more niche. This next category is actually going to be ally protectors, which, you know what, I'm going to use Kunoichi on the main account as our example build for this one. So NA ally protector inside of this game is going to be putting up the ally protect and soaking a crap load of damage for the rest of your team, especially in areas like Hydra, Demon Lord Clan Boss, where there's a lot of AoE damage coming in. They're going to be taking huge AoE smacks for your team and absorbing that damage for your team. And so, just like revivers, they need to be stalwart, to say the least. We're talking champions like Kunoichi, we're talking champions like... God, why does every champion take 10,000 years to load up? Taragi the Frog also brings some shielding, some ally protection action as well, as you can see. Another great example is Vizix, right? Actually pretty solid. Hydra champion, decrease speed, provoke on the A3, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, she brings all kinds of ally protect as well. And so with my Vizix, you can see with her build, I've kind of mixed things up a little bit between some Feral for accuracy and speed, a couple pieces of resilience. Oh god, that's way too much to read. A couple of pieces of resilience gear right here, and a couple of pieces of immortal gear, just really focusing on keeping her alive. The stat priority is very simply going to be accuracy if they need it, which I find most ally protectors do need the accuracy. Once again, speed, HP percent, defense percent. Very, very similar to revivers, where speed can take a little bit lower of a little bit more of a back seat, and just make sure that you really focus and hone in on that HP percent and that defense percent, because they're going to need it. Sets that you can look at with your ally protectors, it's again going to be exactly the same as your revivers, really. The immortal pieces, resilience for filler is okay. Yeah, just very, very similar stuff to the revivers that we've covered already. Now, squiggling back onto the free-to-play account, man. More niche champion archetype number 1, right? It's going to be your damage dealers that are not nukers like Alice the Wanderer, but these are going to be the likes of Supreme Gallic, your HP burners, and especially HP burn and poison activator champions, right? Supreme Gallic, yeah, he brings HP burn, block buffs, blah, 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 blah. But on his A2, he attacks 4 times at random, increase attack buffs on himself, blah, 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 blah. Each hit also has a 100% chance booked of instantly activating any HP burn debuffs on the target and decreasing the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1/10, right? Activation action. Who else are we looking at, man? Good old Ninja. This is like a notorious HP burner champion. Attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a chance of placing burn. If the target already has burn, or used against bosses rather, instantly activate the HP burn debuffs instead. You've also got the likes of the epic champion Dark Kill that you'll eventually get from Doom Tower Secret Rooms. Applies all kinds of poisons that are just A1. Each hit has a chance to instantly activate a couple of poison debuffs or a poison and an HP burn. For champions like this and for like Supreme Gallic right here, the stat priority is going to be just a little bit different, right? Accuracy, obviously, that's going to be stat priority number 1. Then speed, then crit rate, okay, followed honestly by a distant crit damage, and then like attack, defense, or HP percent, with not necessarily a focus on building attack, for example, on Supreme Gallic, right? He might be an attack-based champion, and his damage is based on attack on his skills, but honestly, having decent like attack stats on something like a Supreme Gallic or a Ninja is way less important than having a fast Supreme Gallic or a Ninja, right? Getting off their burn activations tends to be the biggest way that they're actually delivering damage to the boss and to waves and stuff like that. As for hitting 100% crit rate and like crit damage on champions like this, you can go down that route if you want. It does work better on some champions than others. For example, if you've got a Ninja can actually be pretty good if you build him with 100% crit rate and pretty good crit damage stats, because his A1 hits quite hard and places decreased defense, and so that could be quite good. Especially if you're comboing that Ninja with something like a Lady Mikage, who has an A1, attacks one enemy with one random ally from the Shadowkin faction, and so now your Ninja is spamming his A1 throughout the fight. Like, okay bro, like 100% crit rate, high crit damage Ninja can actually be like pretty decent. But you can probably already see that what I'm saying is that building this champion type is not quite as easy as first meets the eye, right? It can be a little bit more champion specific as to how much you want to actually focus on crit rate and crit damage on your HP burn activators and stuff like that. For my Ninja, for example, I actually do support running crit rate gauntlets on the Ninja, still going crit damage on the amulet. I still think that's totally fine, but for me, I way lower prioritize things like crit damage on my Ninja, and I just focus on building him nice and quick, like 250 speed, good accuracy stats. I actually go with the crit rate gauntlets because, again, I'm more interested in the speed rolls on my Ninja rather than chasing a crazy amount of crit damage. yeah, and actually run him in a reflex set, as you can see. And so for most of your HP burn and poison activator champions, a little bit of experimentation can be in order. Now, gear sets for this type of champion, right, for your burn activators are going to be Relentless is pretty damn good. 18% chance to get an extra turn can be very, very solid on champions like this, just to get them around again to using their burn and their burn activations faster, right? So Relentless can actually be pretty damn solid. You can go more of a direct damage route, I guess, with some of these guys, maybe with the likes of a Savage set. For most of them, I don't think I'd really recommend it. Reflex, pretty solid. Again, I use this on my Ninja. It works very, very good for me, so I just set up his team AI to prioritize using his A2. So he's just spamming his burn as much as possible, and he's always got that 40% chance to be reducing the cooldown on that sucker. Cruel can still be a fine filler set, just always is. Perception, incredible set to be running on your burns and your burn activators. Accuracy, speed, it's your two highest priority stats after all, you know. It also suggests Impulse is a pretty damn good 2-set as well. If you can collect up a decent amount of Impulse gear, it gives speed and a small chance to reduce a random skill cooldown by 1 turn. On a 2-set, it's like a mini reflex set, sort of combined with the speed set, so it can be pretty good. And honestly, Feral, not bad as well. Oh, and also Pinpoint, mostly for the accessories, just to get the 2-set for the speed bonus, at least, can also be quite saucy, and just getting your speed numbers up on your activators, man. However, not all HP burners and poisoners need to be built in this way. This brings us to our next category, man, our next niche sort of subcategory of champion, which is going to be our solo champions. Champions like Mischief Priest Ornn that you build out just to solo certain content in the game. Mischief Priest brings all kinds of AoE poisons as well as poison activation, but he's more often used to solo things like Dragon and Ice Golem in this game. We've also got the likes of, where the hell is Mithrala? There she is, man. Mithrala can be built in this way as well. I actually use her currently to part solo the event dungeon boss. She could be used to solo Scarab King as well. Great solo option. We can even revisit Taraki the Frog as another example of a solo champion if you want to use him on your account in this way. Decrease attack on his A1, chance to raise poisons on his passive skill as well. Makes him an optimal champion for soloing Scarab King. We've got Lady Annabelle that can solo Dreadhorn Bommel. You get the picture. Your stat priority for champions like this, very simply, it's going to be accuracy and then speed again, which it always is. But I hope you understand that when I say that, the distribution of these stats is different for every type of champion like this. Having a fast champion with high speed, a champion like Mischief Priest Ornn, is important, but nowhere near as important as it is to have like a fast arbiter. Like, I hope that that's obvious, you know. So we're talking accuracy, speed, HP percent is huge, okay, the biggest, okay. And then defense percent is pretty good as well. And then finally, I also mentioned resistance as well, as if you're using champions like Mischief Priest Ornn to solo Ice Golem, then resistance actually becomes quite an important stat as well to have, to make sure you're not, you know, getting frozen to death against that boss, you know. Gear sets meant to be equipped on champions like this, very easy. I mean, you can see, by the way, the difference that I'm talking about. While speed is important, I need like, I've got like a 220 speed Mischief Priest Ornn here. It's important that he's not moving at like 150 speed or something, so it's still important. But dude, he's got like over 100k health. It's like 100k health Mischief Priest Ornn, you know. And that's because, of course, if you're equipping the likes of the sets we're about to cover, Immortal Gear, Regeneration Gear, then the more health that champion has, the more they're healing for every turn, right? And so that's why speed's important too. You want as many turns as you can get, and then as much health, so you get as much healing as possible every single turn from these gear sets. I'll also toss in there as well, in terms of accessories, a random piece of stone skin gear can be totally fine on champions like this, just to get the 8% extra health, man. You gotta do what you gotta do, man, to hit these crazy health numbers that you're looking for on some of these content soloing champs. As for the gear that you're actually looking out for on these champions, again, kind of obvious. 99% of the time, it's going to be regeneration gear followed up by a 2-piece of Immortal Gear. That's what most of your solo stuff is going to look like. There are some solo champions in the game, like Vegas, who can solo... who the hell does he solo again? He can solo Scarab, right? I think he can, but he needs high resistance, right? So you can end up building him in something like 2 pieces of Immortal Gear, for example, and then just whatever resistance gear you've got on hand to get his resistance nice and high, and Vegas kind of handles the healing himself from his passive. So there's some variation in sets that you can use, but 99% of the time, it's going to be Regeneration Gear and Immortal Gear for these solo champs. Next up, and another champion type that I've got to use this main account as the example for, because it's just a little bit advanced for the free-to-play account right now, is going to be your Mischief Tanks. In fact, let's not use Wixwell because he relies on increased resistance buffs to get the job done as a Mischief Tank. Let's use Bevald of the Thorn instead, who I use as a Mischief Tank into Hydra. Now, what does Mischief Tank mean? Well, into Hydra, whenever the head of Mischief pops up, right, it's one of the 6 Hydra heads, what the head of Mischief is going to do is attempt to steal the buffs, and some 10 meter, but it's going to attempt to steal the buffs from the champion on your team that has the most buffs on your team. This means that champions like Bevald can be built out with very, very high resistance stats to not just ensure that they always have like a crap load of buffs on them at all times, but to also bait the head of Mischief into attacking into this one specific champion right here all the time, and then they're just going to resist the buff steal effect every single time. How do you bait the head of Mischief into attacking into Bevald of the Thorn? Well, your Mischief tanks almost always have some unique buffs that they bring to the table. For Bevald, it's his Strengthen buff, right? He buffs himself up with Strengthen on just himself. Nobody else gets the Strengthen buff, and so if the rest of your team doesn't have the Strengthen buff, then your Bevald has the most buffs on your team, you know? So what this means is that he's always going to be, or is very, very likely at least, to attract the attacks of the head of Mischief. A more budget champion that's like this is actually Skuramis, epic champion right here. He can be used as like a provoker into Hydra, but he also buffs himself with counterattack and continuous heal, which are not massively common buffs to be bringing into Hydra, right? So if you don't have these buffs on your team and Skuramis is bringing them just for himself, then again, he's going to be very, very likely to attract the attacks coming in from the head of Mischief. And so stat priority on these champions is going to be the following. Who'd have thunk it? Resistance. As much as you need to take on whatever current stage of Hydra you're up against, I think it's about 330 or 340 maybe-ish for normal Hydra. Then it goes up to something like 380 or something for hard mode Hydra. These are like ballpark figures. You can lessen the load of how much resistance you need on these champions. Like you don't necessarily need like a resistance chestplate and a resistance banner necessarily if you've got like an increased resistance buffer on your team. That's one way that you can lessen the load a little bit. But anyways, man, resistance, accuracy if you need it on that champion, which most of the time you do, then speed, HP percent, defense percent. Nice and simple stat prio. The reason this champion type is in the more advanced category is because honestly it's just tough to collect up that much like good resistance gear and good resistance sets on like an earlier game account. It's something that you can sort of plan for in the future on your account, and it could become a project for a little bit later on. Some good resistance set pieces. Am I even going to cover these, man? It's kind of the obvious. Righteous is obviously just the best, being a Forge Pass set, gives speed, and resistance is very, very nice indeed. Fortitude is grit, resistance and defense percent, but even just good old classic resistance 2-piece sets can be fine. Hopefully not needed. Hopefully you've got some like good resistance chest pieces or something for Fortitude and Righteous that you can use, banners and stuff like that to get you over the line. And yeah, like the old resistance set, it's a little bit dated, it's a little bit crappy. Hopefully you can get something else to use than that. But yeah, those are your Mischief Tanks. And finally, of the advanced champion types, I'm just going to wrap it up with the stun set champions, which very, very simply put, is champions that don't do a whole lot, really, but they bring either an attack all enemies on the A1, like Soulborn Boya right here, or they bring, for example, like a rare champion right here, like Ingot Twiststaff, or they bring a couple of attack all enemy skills on like the A2 and the A3. These tend to be lower quality epic champions, or like rare champions like Ingot right here, or even like pretty good rare champions, to be fair, like Bellower, that just bring a lot of attack all enemies on their skills that you've leveled up to 60 because you maybe use them for like early progression and stuff like that, and then you can sort of retire them into a stun set and get great value out of these champions in things like wave content. For these champions, the stat priorities can be very, very simple. Again, accuracy if they need it. Do note that you do not need accuracy to land the stun from an artifact set. That's actually quite important to note, right? So you don't need any accuracy at all to land the stun from your stun artifact set. That's sort of a given. It will land no matter what, but accuracy if the champion's kit needs it. Then as much speed as possible, HP percent, defense percent. Nice and simple, right? With a real focus on speed this time, right? The faster your stun set champions are moving, the more value they're going to get from their stun set, right? The more attacks they're going to get off, so kind of simple stuff. What artifact set do you put these guys in? Yeah, I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence by covering that. And there you have it, man. That is every single champion type in Raid Shadow Legends, at least that I can think of, that can be broken down into like even more niche categories and how to gear them. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all did enjoy this one. Oh my god, I need to rest my voice after this one, man. Hope you all learned something. I'll try and timestamp this video, make it nice and easy to follow, man, for any beginners that are watching this. And yeah, I'm looking for some advice on how to set up their champs on their roster, maybe for the very first time on a new account. Speaking of which, if you're looking to start off a new account, man, then click on the beginner promo link that's down below at the top of the description box to jumpstart that account the right way, man, with all of the free stuff that you see on screen right now. And all you're going to do is create that new account on laptop or PC by clicking on that beginner link that's down below at the top of the description box. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm going to catch all of you all to see you a tad bit later, man.